Hi, welcome back. Today's episode is about data frames. We will continue our series of videos about data frames in Python. This is the video part 2. Let's see. We had some dictionary called studentdict where we had three different variables, name, age, and marks. And we want to create, using this dictionary, a data frame. So we're going to call pandas, and then we're going to call the constructor DataFrame for converting or transforming this student dictionary into a student data frame. So you can see here we have created the dictionary. Name, age, and marks are our three keys, and Joe, Nat, and Harry, and so on are the values for each key. When I call that constructor data frame, we create our data frame. I print it, and we can here in the console we can see that now the keys are features or columns, name, age, and marks. So what we can do with this information we have stored in a data frame. So now this episode is about how to get information, how to extract information from our data frames. First of all, for example, we can use describe. Describe is going to be a function. As you will see here, we create an object called x. I'm going to save it because we can use it later. And as you can see, describe is a function that is going to create some summary from those quantitative variables of our data frame studentDF. Age, marks are quantitative columns, and we can see that 3 as count, mean, the mean of each of these columns, and so on, different statistics that we can use. Okay, what else we can do? Okay, let's see. We can extract some info about our data frame if it is necessary. For example, here you can see name, it's as an object, y it's a characters. In 64, age we only have integers in our column age, and marks we have even numbers with decimals, so it's a float 64. In total we have 3 columns and so on. Range index, 3 entries, 0 to 2. This is the different information we can extract from this data frame. As you can see here, also I can extract using the function list or the constructor list the column's name from my data frame. If we need the column's name, so we can just call list studentDF, and we're going to extract the column's name from our data frame. Index is important. We will discuss later how to manipulate the index from a data frame or in a data frame, as we saw in the previous video, how to insert an index from the beginning when we are building our data frame. Let's see here. The index is an range starting from 0 and finishing at 3. 0, 1, and 2 because 3 is not included. Okay, what else we can see from our data frames? Columns. Okay, you have 3 different columns, name, age, and marks. So it's okay to call the data frame, in our case studentDF, and then dot columns, or point in this case, point columns. Also, we can see what are the different types of our variables as we did before with info. However, here is directly talking about the columns in 64, float 64, and object. Okay, what else we can get? Okay, empty. We're gonna call if it's the data frame is empty or not. In this case, it's false. The shape. It's important to know how many columns, how many observations we have, and as you can see, we have 3 and 3. And how to extract the columns and how to extract the shape, or using the shape for the rows, just calling using the bracket 0. So the first value here is the observations, and the 3 is the number of columns of feature we have in our data frame. You can see here, I printed 3, and we're gonna see here 2, 3. Length, what is gonna be length? So it's going to see that is the different observations too, right? So you can use the different functions for extracting or exploring the information we have stored in our case in studentDF as a data frame. The size, what it could be size? Well, size is gonna be the multiplication of number of rows and the number of columns. 3 times 3 is equal 9, so that's why we got the result of 9. The values, as you can see, these are gonna be, of course, the different observations we have in our data frame. As you can see here, the different values are joy 20, 85.1. Why? Because it's extracting all of these observations as a list. So if we use the function values, let's try to see if we can call and extract the first observation. So you can see we did it. Okay, the first observation, all the observation, right? Remember that one observation in a data frame is a union of the different columns and the different values in these columns. Okay, we go by row. Okay, one function that I usually use for discovering or for exploring my data is head. I use my data frame and then I call the function head. What it means, this number 2, okay, that I want to see the first 2 observations. As you can see, I print on the first 2 observations. By default, there's a number, of course, that we're gonna see, but in this case, I cannot show you because my data frame is too small. Okay, the function head is used for seeing the first 5 values by default. If I erase this, we can see the 5 first observations of data frame. However, I don't use this one now because I only have 3 observations. And what is tail for? Tail is for seeing the last observation in my data frame. In this case, as you can see, Harry and Nat are the last 2 observations in my data frame. So sometimes you're going to use head for exploring the first observation and tail for seeing the last observations, or observing, right? Okay, and how to call only one column? Okay, we can do it in different ways. We use studentDF in our case, and then dot. As you can see here, I press point and then tab, and then it gives me different functions of my data frame. I'm gonna call name, as you can see. Here it is, and I just select it, and it's gonna give me all the information in my data frame based in this column. The same with age. That's how we can extract the information from one column. And this one is gonna be 2 or more columns. As you can see, if you remember, I mentioned about X. In X, I stored the summary or the descriptive statistics for all the columns, or for each column. As you can see, here we have stored all the information of X, and then we are called, okay, give me all the statistics of age from X point age is going to provide me all the information. studentDF. Okay, this is how to explore our data frame, and just a simple review how to extract some information regarding our data frame. Hope you like it. We will continue in the next video talking about data frames and different functions that are very useful to manipulate and to clean or to extract beautiful or insights from our data. Hope you like it, and see you next time.